then you know that meditation is one of those words that means absolutely nothing. Meditation is a very silly word. And it's not even truly correct. In English, what we do would probably be closer to being called contemplation. The traditional saying goes there are 84,000 gates to the Dharma, but we all know that's silly. There's 8 billion and change. There's a lot of ways to do this. It's got to be Mary Oliver. It's banging around in my head. It says that there are countless ways to kneel and kiss the ground. Let's just say it's Mary Oliver, if it's good. If you like it, it's Mary Oliver. If you don't like it, it's me. Yeah, there's infinite ways of doing this thing. And even being still is relative. You know, we sit, right? But the heart is pumping, the lungs are breathing, there's so much action. It's really kind of a strange kind of stillness that we practice. And in fact, one thing that we definitely don't do is we don't squeeze and try to sit still and then use that same kind of effort on the mind and heart. We don't do that. The old man spent 6 years with these ferocious forest babas, these yogis in the forest, and they would torture their body and deny themselves sleep and food and rest, and trying to beat the body down, make it shut up for once so he could just rest in peace. The Buddha discovered this was not, let's say in an expansive way, this was not his way. It didn't work for the old man. He said there's got to be another way to do this. He discovered for himself the way of ease, the way of cultivating this relationship, this dialectic between opposites. So like Judy said, we sit still. We sit in presence. We sit or stand or walk or lie down and bring our whole self to whatever it is that we're doing. Chopping carrots, mowing the lawn, writing a card, whatever we're doing. We bring our full and total lived human experience to whatever it is that we're doing, which is actually very strange, especially now. I'm like this all day. Even like, I'll be doing a task and walk to another part of the house and pick up my phone and look at some conversation on Buddhist Reddit that I'm following or commenting on, or like, hold on, someone's wrong on the internet. I'm going to tell them. So, distraction was powerful 2,600 years ago in the time of the Buddha. Distraction reigns supreme now. So, simply the act of being present to our lived experience is radical. It was radical then and it's radical now. So, observe the observer. Posted in the chat. Yeah. The one that's doing this thing, whatever it is, watch that. If you can start to cultivate, and cultivate's kind of a weird word because it feels like I'm collecting coins or adding pebbles to a pretty pebble collection. It's more like when we practice, we start to train our attention to notice what's going on right now, whatever that is. And that is the power of mindfulness. It is content agnostic. If your spiritual practice could only be done doing a specific activity with your special, I don't know. I mean, you saw me light incense, so I'm a little bit, speaking out of both sides of my mouth. But if you could only do your special practice with your special clothes on your special chair, with your special candle in your special part of the room, your practice is very fragile and very thin. What happens when you're not there? Your practice is simply attending to what is already always present. So we go from this, if you're anything like me, you go from having 100 billion thoughts about 100 billion things and getting hooked by each one. I like that, I don't like that, I hate that, they're nice, they're bad. I don't want to do that, I want to do that, why can't I do that? Why does that? I mean, it's exhausting. So we go from that and we kind of give ourselves a little break. You say, you know what? This is all going on. I can't stop it. I'm not going to. But what I will do is I'll simply start to focus, start to gather my attention into a smaller and smaller field. And I'll just be present. And this could, for the folks in the room who have had experience with Dzogchen, this could be explained as either A, simply being present to whatever happens to be arising in the field of your awareness at any point in given time, to B, gathering your attention on a simple thing. And they're different really only in degree, in a way. So let's just say, when we practice, one way of thinking about the practice is to simply come back to a much more simplified way of relating to experience. The eye sees, the nose smells, the mouth tastes, the ears hear, the skin receives sensation. The mind thinks and the heart feels, and you are under no obligation to preference any experience over any other experience. Just think of the offloading of labor that grants you. You actually don't have to like or dislike, approve or disapprove of any thought you've ever had in your whole life. You're under no obligation. Those thoughts aren't even you. In the same way that every single person in this room and the folks on Zoom heard that snap, but nobody would say, I am that snap. That would be silly. But how many thoughts have you had that you thought were you? Or even just, how many thoughts have I had that I thought had something important and lasting to say about me as a person? Oh my God, I can't believe I thought that about that person. Or even just taking what I think seriously and believing in it. This person's like that. I don't know a goddamn thing about that person. Never did. And I won't even until I say, hey man, that thing you said I didn't like. It made me feel like this. And when we can explore it, or not. They can punch me in the mouth or whatever, but you know, this whole kind of believing in our thoughts thing that I do is completely unnecessary and actually exhausting. So this stillness and presence that we cultivate, and yes, like William said, there are infinite variations and infinite techniques, and that's great, because boy, there's a lot of humans on this planet. And what works for you might not work for the person next to you. And what works for you Wednesday might not work for you Monday, or even in a given sit from 1 minute to the next. But one way of conceiving of practice is granting yourself the grace of stillness and presence in an intimate and yet spacious way.